Jack Mitchell's life revolved around two things: his small Nebraska farm and the two little girls asleep upstairs, who didn't know how close they were to losing it all. The grandfather clock in his kitchen ticked toward 4:30 a.m. when Jack's hand, rough from years of turning wrenches and mending fences, slapped the alarm off before it rang. He didn't need it anymore. Hadn't needed it since Sarah passed 6 years ago. But he kept it set anyway, because she'd given it to him as a joke on their last Christmas together. "So even the world's most stubborn man doesn't sleep through the sunrise," she'd said. His bare feet touched the cold wooden floor, making it creak as he crossed the room. The house was old, held together by paint, prayers, and Jack's half-finished repairs. He paused outside Emma's door. She was 12, but sometimes seemed twice that. A flashlight beam flickered from beneath her blanket. She'd fallen asleep studying again. The girl read manuals for fun. Jack clicked off her lamp, careful not to wake her. She murmured something in her sleep and rolled over, hugging her pillow tight. Farther down the hall, Sophie was sprawled diagonally across her little bed, lightening the stuffed horse crushed to her side. She was 8, sweet and wild and so much like her mother it made Jack's chest ache. Sarah's curls, Sarah's smile, Sarah's fearless way of loving everything, even a stubborn farmer who never learned to say goodbye properly. He whispered, "Morning, baby girl," then tugged the blanket over Sophie's small shoulders. In the kitchen, the stack of unpaid bills waited for him like vultures on the fence line. He sat at the table, sipping black coffee from his oldest mug, the one Sarah had painted yellow sunflowers on the summer before Emma was born. The ink had worn off, but he kept it because it still felt like her hand in his. The morning fog pressed against the window. He could just make out the faint green rows of corn, the sagging barn roof, the ruts in the old dirt access road. So much work to do. So much he hadn't done yet. But no matter how much he fixed, the farm always needed more time, more money, more luck. Jack could fix anything with wheels or an engine, but you can't fix drought or low crop prices or a mortgage that wants more than you can give. He drained his coffee. Outside, a tractor backfired somewhere far down the road, a sound he knew by heart. The day had begun, and like every day, he'd get up and do what he could. The back door squeaked as Emma pushed it open, hair pulled back, wearing one of his old flannel shirts buttoned crooked. She yawned and poured herself a glass of juice. "You should sleep more, kiddo," Jack said. He rinsed his mug and turned the coffee maker back on. Emma rolled her eyes in that perfect "you're not fooling me, Dad" way. "I can't sleep. I was thinking about the science fair. Mr. Leach says I could win this year." "You will," Jack said, voice soft. He believed it because she needed him to. She looked at the stack of bills. He saw the flicker of worry cross her face before she could hide it. "Don't worry about that," he said, but Emma only crossed her arms. "I'm not a kid, Dad. I see what you do every day. I know the barn roof leaks and the well pumps die." He opened his mouth to argue, but the pounding of tiny feet on the stairs interrupted him. Sophie burst in, hair everywhere. Lightning clutched to her chest like a general carries his flag. "You started chores without me," she squeaked. Jack snorted. "Wouldn't dream of it. But you know the rules. No pajamas in the barn." Sophie groaned but turned on her heel, bare feet thudding back upstairs to change. Emma sipped her juice. Mom would have had that roof fixed by now. Jack smiled sadly. Your mother was better at fixing hearts than roofs. Emma reached for his hand. We'll figure it out, Dad. We always do. He squeezed her fingers, not trusting himself to speak. The morning was half gone by the time Jack found himself up by the old shed, pulling rusted nails from a piece of warped siding. He heard the noise before he saw the cause, the chug-chug cough of a big diesel engine about to die. He squinted down the access road. A tractor, shiny green paint, huge rear wheels, limped along, belching gray smoke. Whoever was driving didn't know how to coax it along. He dropped the hammer, wiped his hands on his jeans, and grabbed his battered toolbox. When he reached the fence, the tractor had rolled to a stop. Steam rose from the engine block. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped down. Boots, jeans, ponytail. She looked city clean, despite the smudge of grease on her cheek. Having trouble? Jack called out, resting his arms on the fence post. The woman jumped. She turned, squinting into the sun. I guess so. I'm new around here. Lucky for you, I'm not. Jack swung the gate open, toolbox rattling at his side. Jack popped the tractor's hood while the woman, Alexandra, stood beside him, arms crossed tight, like she was bracing for more than just engine trouble. He ran his fingers along the hoses, found the hairline crack, the loose clamp. He could see it in seconds. One of those things that would make an engine run fine until it didn't. You've got a coolant leak, Jack said. This hose here, see? He pointed with his wrench. Split under pressure. Alexandra leaned in close enough that Jack caught the faintest trace of expensive perfume, something that didn't belong anywhere near a cornfield. She nodded like she was committing it all to memory. Can it be fixed? She asked. I've got a spare hose in my workshop. Give me an hour. Her shoulders relaxed. Thank you, Jack. He shrugged. Neighbor in need is a neighbor indeed. That's how it works out here. She laughed softly, warm and genuine. It did something to the tight, knot behind Jack's ribs. She was young, maybe 30, but her eyes carried a weight that made her seem older. As he worked, Alexandra peppered him with questions about the crops, the soil, the well pump, the co-op that had closed last fall. He noticed how she didn't take notes. She just listened and remembered, her mind ticking like the inside of a watch. And then she spotted Sophie's little bike propped by the barn. You've got kids. Jack hesitated, then nodded. 2 girls. Emma's 12, Sophie's 8. Their mother. He cleared his throat. It's just us now. Alexander's eyes softened. I'm sorry. He tightened the last clamp, pushed the thought away. We manage. When the tractor rumbled back to life, Alexandra clapped her hands, delighted. What do I owe you? Jack shook his head. Nothing. Just remember me next time you run something into the dirt. She smiled, but there was something else behind it. Something he didn't quite understand. The next morning, Jack was fixing the irrigation lines in the eastern field when the rumble came. Not the cough of a sick tractor. A deep, distant roar that didn't belong anywhere near his fields. Emma, who was helping him dig, looked up first. Dad, what is that? Before he could answer, a sleek white jet cut across the pale blue sky. So low he felt the vibration in his boots. It circled, dropped its landing gear, and lined up with the long dirt access road that ran behind the barn. Jack grabbed Emma's shoulder and pulled her close as the jet touched down, kicking up a storm of dust that blew across the corn rows. Sophie came running from the house barefoot, lightning flapping under her arm. Is that for us? Did someone send us a plane? Jack could only stare as the cabin door opened and Alexandra appeared, calm as Sunday morning. Gone were the work jeans. She wore a crisp navy suit, hair smooth, a silver pin glinting on her lapel. 2 men in suits stepped out behind her, scanning the farm with the cool detachment of bodyguards. Alexandra's eyes found Jack immediately. She raised a hand like they were old friends. Morning, Jack. Emma's mouth dropped open. Sophie bounced beside her sister, whispering, She's a princess. Inside the farmhouse, the kitchen table was still littered with coffee rings and the morning's mail when Alexandra laid a folder in front of Jack. Your kindness the other day, fixing my tractor without blinking. You have no idea how rare that is," she said, leaning forward. "I'm not just a neighbor. I'm Alexandra Wellington." Jack didn't flinch, though the name rang a bell. Some article he'd read at the gas station about Wellington Industries. "I run my family's company," she said. "Or at least I try to. My father built it from scratch, selling tractor parts out of his garage. Now we're one of the biggest agitech companies in the country. But we've lost touch with real farmers. People like you." She pushed the folder closer. The pages inside had charts, job offers, words Jack didn't fully understand. But one number jumped out. More money than he'd see in 5 lifetimes. "I want you on my team," Alexandra said, "as a rural innovation consultant. We're designing equipment farmers can fix themselves. We need your know-how." Jack leaned back, arms folded tight. "You want me to move to Chicago?" "I want you and your girls to have a chance," Alexandra said quietly. "Emma could go to the best schools. Sophie could have her own garden, bigger than your backyard could ever hold." Sophie perked up at that. "Can lightning come too?" Alexandra smiled, warm and easy. "Of course." Emma looked at her father, eyes wide and bright. "Dad, this could change everything." Jack stared at the bills he'd hidden in the drawer, at Sarah's photo beside the window. Could he really leave the farm? This house? The memories of Sarah wrapped in every squeaky floorboard? They talked long into the night. Jack pulled out Sarah's letter from where he'd hidden it under his work gloves. The one she'd written before she died. "Don't stay stuck, Jack. Let the girls fly. Don't let fear keep you rooted when the world is waiting." The next morning, he called Alexandra. "We'll do it, but we do it as a family." Word spread fast. Neighbors stopped by with casseroles and questions. Tom Wilson leaned against his pickup, hat in hand. "Jack Mitchell, you're going to be one of those fancy Chicago consultants now." "Guess so," Jack said. "Well," Tom grinned, "if you need someone to keep an eye on this place, you let me know." Jack nodded, throat tight. "I'll hold you to that." Packing was chaos. Emma spent every spare minute reading about her new school. Sophie drew lightning in front of the Chicago skyline. Jack found himself up late, staring at the field outside his window, whispering to Sarah, "I hope you're watching. I hope you know I'm trying." The city swallowed them whole at first. Glass towers so high Sophie thought they touched the moon. Their new apartment overlooked the skyline, a garden on the roof just for Sophie. Emma's first day at her new school. She raised her hand in science class before the teacher even finished asking the question. "Gravity-fed irrigation systems don't need fancy sensors," she said confidently. "My dad taught me how to keep water flowing even when the pumps break." At Wellington Industries, Jack sat in rooms with men in tailored suits. At first he felt out of place, the farmer in boots next to Ivy League executives. But when they wheeled in an engine prototype, all those suits stepped back. Jack stepped forward. "This won't work," he said, tapping the mess of tubes and sensors. "Not when it's freezing out. Not when your hands are numb." The engineers bristled, but Alexandra just smiled. "Then fix it, Jack. Show them how." And he did. 6 months later, rumors swirled. The press loved the story. Billionaire CEO falls for small-town mechanic. Jack hated the attention. Alexandra brushed it off. But behind closed doors, he saw the lines of worry on her face. One night, he found her on the rooftop garden, staring out at the skyline. "They think you're just some farmer I picked up like a charity case," she said quietly. Jack sat beside her, the hum of the city like an ocean below them. "I don't care what they think. I care about what you're building." Alexandra turned to him, eyes bright with tears. "I'm not building it alone. You're the heart of this, Jack." She reached for his hand. "We're the heart of it. You, me, the girls, this farm in the middle of a city. You know how, my reach. It only works if we're in it together. Jack squeezed her fingers. Then we'll fight it. Together. A year after the first broken tractor, they stood on the porch of the farmhouse, new paint on the siding, the old sign above the barn, now reading Mitchell Wellington Rural Center. Neighbors gathered in the yard for harvest dinner, kids chasing chickens, while grown-ups drank sweet tea from mason jars. Emma gave tours of the new workshop, where she tinkered on drone designs. Sophie showed off her garden, where Lightning sat under a tiny homemade gazebo. Alexandra wore her boots and jeans, hair tucked under a ball cap. She leaned against Jack's shoulder, watching Sophie run barefoot across the yard. You did this, she said. Jack shook his head. We did. Alexandra kissed his cheek. What do you think Sarah would say? Jack's eyes misted. He felt her all around him, and the wind rustling the corn, and Emma's laughter, and Sophie's garden full of wildflowers. She'd say we're exactly where we're meant to be. Sometimes a single broken machine can fix what feels unfixable. Sometimes one act of neighborly kindness grows into something so big it changes lives far beyond your own. Jack Mitchell never wanted to be a hero. He just wanted to help someone stuck on the side of the road. And because he did, a lonely billionaire found her roots again, 2 little girls found wings, and a farm that should have died found new life. So if you ever wonder if a small good deed matters, remember Jack's story. Sometimes the best way to fix what's broken is to lend a hand and hold on tight when the winds of change blow in. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to believe in small miracles again. And don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow I'll share another true story that proves kindness is never wasted. See you then.